Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Industries Live stream today. This is a show we do every other Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So subscribe wherever you're watching. And what we do on this show is we talk about industries and how industries relate to AWS and the cloud, and how industries relate to our partners and our partners that are building really interesting, differentiated line of business solutions that are being solved for by building on AWS and solving those really interesting challenges. So what we do is we get to talk to really interesting partners, hear from them, what are they seeing in the industry, and talk and have a great time. And my name is Jason O'Malley. I'm a senior partner solutions architect here on the AWS partner team. I'm part of our Industry Solutions Center of Excellence. And today I'm normally broadcast from Chicago. I'm in a special office today because I'm actually in Amsterdam. So we do have a chat. We do like to hear where everyone's watching from. So if you feel compelled, drop in the chat, let us know where you all are watching from out in the live streaming world. And with that, I will pass it off to my co-host, Addy, to introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Jason. I'm so excited about this week to come on Industries Live. I lead our industry solutions team for financial services. So our team focuses on working with our trusted partners, our technology and consulting partners to solve for line of business challenges that matter to our customers. And so with each episode, we really want to stress on how our industry solutions are able to help customers solve for their business needs and the total impact both across productivity, economics, and cost that they get to see as part of those combined solutions that come together on AWS. I'm really excited about this week's episode. We're going to talk about how GenAI has been transforming, accelerating production-grade workloads moving over with GenAI, but the wider productivity improvements that are coming across. And I have some fascinating views on the demos coming up today, so it should be a really fun episode.
I agree. And as you know, this week we're focusing on financial services. Next week we'll rotate to another industry, probably media and entertainment. So it's exciting to see, and we're excited for our partners that are on today. So we've got Anthropic and Iron Mountain, and we're going to dive in deep into financial services. And so with that, Addy, should we bring on our first guest?
Yeah, excited about that.
All right. Hi, JP.
Awesome.
Nicholas, welcome to the show.
Hey, gang. Thanks for having us. It's good to be back.
Yeah, JP, you're a repeat guest already. So welcome back. Thanks for coming back.
I love AWS and our friends dialed in. So I'm thankful to be able to be here again.
Appreciate it. And Nicholas, I think first time for you. So welcome to the stream for you.
Very excited to be here. Also a big fan of AWS.
Great.
Yeah. I actually am excited to have the Anthropic team because, they are right at the forefront of the action. Their teams are really seeing the patterns as they come. They're learning about the industry. And, I'm sure the audience wants to just know the story, right? JP, Nicholas, you're in the speedboat of GenAI. Like, what's it like? What's the Anthropic journey been? And tell us about a day in the life, actually, as you introduce yourselves.
It's been fast and furious and wonderful at the same time. So I am JP. I oversee our financial services vertical in Anthropic, which, like it sounds, means my team and I support the largest banks, insurance companies, asset managers in the world in getting the most out of our technology. And oftentimes we do that in partnership with our friends at AWS. And a day in the life, and then I'll pass it over to Nick, whose days are even more hectic than mine. A day in the life is really meeting with our partners, diving deep and understanding what is top of mind for them. And by that, I mean, not how can I use AI to edit my emails or use AI to summarize a 3-page document. It's more, how do I apply this technology to move the needle at a board level or move the needle at, the highest level of the business, whether that's a significant driver for net new revenue or a transformative driver on the cost savings front. And these are the types of conversations we have because the shift we've seen in the past year and a half is very much from dipping the toe in the AI waters, because obviously there's a lot of unknown, and in regulated businesses like banks and insurance, that's a scary place. From that a year and a half ago to jumping right into the pool, so to speak. So that's kind of more the stage we're at now, and starting to take this stuff to production in a meaningful way. That's a bit about how I'm spending my day, and then Nick, you can share a bit about how you did the same.
Thanks, JP. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicholas Lin, and I lead product for Claude for financial services. I've spent my entire career in finance and in fintech, including being a recovering investment banker and private equity investor. So a lot of the problems that we're talking about today and we've been spending time thinking about are just really near and dear to my heart. I've been with Anthropic for a little bit over a year and a half now, which is frankly, I think a decade in AI lifetime. It's just been really unique to be able to work at a company that is enterprise focused and that is a research lab at heart, right? Something I think about really often is that the models we interact with today are the worst they will ever be. But even today, Claude is not only state of the art when it comes to code, which is what everyone talks about, but Claude within its training corpus has been really fantastic at finance domain knowledge as well. So something that we pride ourselves on is what we call the research and product flywheel. So it's really important for us to work with customers like yourselves to really understand where the models themselves are working, where the gaps are, and borrowing a term that we use internally, hill climb to really improve the next generation of model capabilities. Right. So I think we're really on a journey together here. And the only way for us to move forward as an organization is to work really closely with partners like AWS and customers like yourselves.
Great. I appreciate that background. It's great to meet you and kind of get a sense of like how your roles differ and such. And I know one of the things we're going to talk about today that we talked about a little bit earlier this week and last week was the Claude for financial analysis. But I was wondering, Addy, anything around the industry before we dive into that you want to talk about first?
Yeah, no, I think we should really dive into the use cases that we're seeing. I think, across capital markets, banking, payments, and insurance, there is a massive amount of activity. But each of these subsectors are kind of approaching this very differently. On the AWS side, we've been seeing the way that organizations are really getting their data right. They've understood that I cannot make most of GenAI unless I have my data well collated, curated, publisher subscriber structures, access through warehouses. The other area we're seeing is like context is king. And so I'm really curious, what are the Anthropic teams seeing? What are y'all seeing as key trends playing out? And anything that's been, raising an eyebrow as you're seeing customers accelerate in GenAI?
Yeah, I'm happy to share a couple observations we're making of late. And one touches on exactly what you just shared, the simplest formula, I would put out there for the folks watching is, and I often come with I reference a metaphor, like if we're the cooks, then our partners provide the recipes, which is the context, and the ingredients, which is the data, and we work together to make wonderful meals, so to speak. So a lot of the time spent right now, and the advantage to these models is when people talk about structured data this, structured data that, they're actually very good at unstructured data. But data in itself, it's not enough just to do deep research on the web. Well, it's cool. If you are a large insurance company and you've got rules and regulations for how you underwrite, you're not just like going rogue and Googling stuff, right? So the ability to actually reference those internal data sets is the difference between something being usable in a production level or not. So while we spend a lot of time to make sure there's access to those data sources, we're really investing in making it easier. And this is for those that are watching that are familiar with MCP or Model Context Protocol. We're trying to bridge the gap because it's easier said than done. But well, yeah, sure, you want elegant access to all of our internal data in a safe and responsible way. But how do I actually bring that to life? And MCP has helped bridge that gap significantly. So now the time to value for our partners has improved very, very, very quickly, because now if I'm working with you and you're a bank and you're doing, let's say, a KYC use case, well, historically, to actually start feeding a large language model that data in a responsible, safe way was actually just a huge lift. But increasingly, it's becoming a much easier task. So these are the types of things that we're focused on. And then similarly with context, a model is really good and capable, and Claude is, arguably the best in the areas that we focus on. But without the guidance on whether it's the claims adjuster or the financial controller and the investment researcher, like they've been doing that for 20 years. So when Nick and I talk about doing research and meeting with partners, we want to hear from you on what are the steps you take in your day-to-day, and how can we translate those steps to the context or the instructions, if you will? Because without good instructions, a model it can only do so much for you. And those are some of the things we kind of are reiterating right now for our partners, to get right and invest time up front to map out those instructions, map out like, okay, what data sets do you actually need to do this use case? And then Claude's pretty good at doing the rest. And then obviously we advise on how to get the most out of it. Those are just some of the kind of themes that we're seeing right now, but I'd love to hear from Nick on his take.
Yeah, for sure. I think we think about trust often at Anthropic. These models are extremely capable today already. We think about even if research progress completely stopped, there's a lot that we can do in just translating model capabilities into things that are useful for humans, right? And I think we think about trust in three main components. One is these capabilities themselves need to be tailored to the use cases and the workflows that demonstrate that we understand what those are, right? We want to make sure that the model can start building reports like pitch decks and investment memos, analyze and create data like benchmarking analyses, or reading and writing PowerPoint, Excel documents. These are fundamentally useful human things that we need to make sure the model can really do. And that's a lot of where the product energy really goes into, translating model intelligence into what we call agentic capabilities, which is just a fancy word to really say, hey, these are useful tasks for humans, right? The second thing is understanding what these workflows are. How can we enable the users, the analysts, the insurers to really trust Claude's responses? I think that has two components to it as well. One is the model needs to be able to show the user what its thought process is, right? There's a really important feature that we've built called extended thinking. As a part of extended thinking, Claude is really exposing every single step that it is thinking about of exactly how it's going to create that model, what data it's going to retrieve, and how it's going to validate that answer. I think showing that transparency to the user is really important, right? Me as a manager, if I wanted to check my analyst's work, I really need to be able to see the traces and the citations. I think the second most important thing when it comes to enabling trust is connecting Claude to the right context and to the right data sources, right? Without connections to many of our core partners, MCP servers, as JP mentioned, like FactSet, S&P, and others, many of the AI solutions today simply hallucinate financial numbers, right? That makes it essentially useless when it comes to doing financial analysis. That's why a really core part of our financial analysis solution is enabling Claude to connect to those data sources and doing that in a verifiable way. Every single time that a number is retrieved from one of our partners, Claude is going to tell you exactly where it came from, including giving you a hyperlink to check the underlying data source. The last component that we think about is we need to make sure that our customers know how to engage with these powerful solutions, right? I think the product solutions themselves are great, but we think very often about change management and how we can provide our customers with education, deployment, and support to really guide our users when it comes to what are the models good at today. It's not good at everything, right? It's still going to take time, but how can we incrementally unpack the things that the models are good at and guide our customers on our journey? So I think those three components of trust is what we think about often in really enabling our users to really achieve repeatable and high quality outcomes when it comes to our model capabilities.
And I really appreciate the way the Anthropic team has really focused on that enterprise customer, because a lot of what you all described comes down to really understanding how these mid-tier firms, large firms, extremely global scale, systematically important financial institutions, how do they apply these technologies along those best practices that they expect? Because they're answerable to their regulators. They're answerable for that traceability of the data source. They cannot say, well, I kind of think it came from there. They need to know exactly where it came from. And so, having that MCP structure that pulls that market data feed, making it really easy to trace back where that data came from and that it's in the frame and template that gets followed in the organization. And then last but not least, building that trust, because the biggest concern customers had through 2024 and 2023 was hallucination. And we're nearly at the crux of having eliminated that with the clarity and traceability of where did I source that particular insight from. So spot on about each of those, and really keen to kind of think about how we can take those to customers.
And I think one of the things you started to allude to is just taking the capabilities of Claude and the models Anthropic has made and making them fit the needs of the financial services customers. I'm wondering at this point, do you want to talk a little bit about Claude for financial analysis and what features that brings to bear for those customers, and if there's any elements about how it utilizes AWS?
Yeah, I'll let Nick speak to the specific features. I think I can touch on the observations we made, which Nick alluded to. And we see this with everyone dialed in. I'm sure you can relate, where these models out of the box, so whether you're using like a public-facing Claude.ai chat or an enterprise version of it, you still have to kind of go to it, give it very clear instructions, then upload the documents you want to analyze and double check the answers. And it's amazing that it can do these things, but it's a meaningful lift. So in working with so many of our partners in the financial space and sitting with them and understanding, like literally asking like, hey, what prevents you from getting more out of this technology? Basically, time and time again, we started to hear it's just there's too much friction. There's a reliability component. How do I know the answers are right? To Nick's comment, and Addy, you touched on this beautifully. It's not enough that it's like maybe it's right. Obviously, if you're investing or underwriting, that's like the litmus test I give it is imagine asking like the smartest colleague at in your office, hey man, hey woman, can you get back to me on this number? And they give you a number. You're probably not like, wait a minute, let me double check the number you just emailed me, right? Or you're like, I just literally blindly trust that person. They gave it to me. I know they know what they're doing. That's kind of where we're looking to get to. And I think we're very close to that level of kind of faith. But that is what, in those interviews, that is what helped us kind of pause and say, okay, how can we bring to life the best that our partners at AWS can bring and the best of what Anthropic can bring to like bridge this gap? And I'll let Nick speak to the practical and tactical things we've done to bring this Claude for financial analysis to life.
Thanks, JP. So we've announced the Claude financial analysis solution back in July, which is Anthropic's first industry offering, and it's built specifically for finance. And that's across both financial services and corporate finance use cases. I think about the three pillars that this solution is really built upon. And these are the pillars that comprise of an agent. First are the model capabilities themselves. As I mentioned, Claude is not just state of the art when it comes to code. Code is a really powerful and flexible skill, right? Code is actually what Claude uses to analyze documents and do data analysis at scale and even create Excel documents and PowerPoint as well. So Claude has been trained on finance knowledge as well as the ability to use code to really engender real-world applications. The next pillar of the solution is what we think about, again, agent capabilities built on top of these models. It's not enough that these models exist on the API, right? We really want to make sure that we're building the product scaffolding to translate model intelligence into useful tasks for humans. And that includes the most important work for analysts, right? Such as, building multimodal reports like pitch decks, investment memos, analyzing, visualizing data like benchmarking analyses, comparables, and price and volume performance. What I used to spend, a few hours just building a stock price and volume chart, Claude can do this in just about 2 minutes with a connection to S&P or FactSet. And I think the last thing is natively reading and writing PowerPoint Excel documents is something we are really excited about. We really want to meet users where they are, right? Claude should not just exist within the Claude for Enterprise surface, but we want to make sure that Claude can be everywhere, right? Claude is really meeting users where they are. And I think that's where we really think about the third pillar, which is how do we deliver our capabilities through the flexible platform? Our solution is really, I think, one of the first solutions in the market with what we call unified intelligence across all of the core data sources that our customers work in every single day. That includes working with our industry leaders like S&P, FactSet, PitchBook, and others to build these critical data integrations, in addition to internal data sources like Databricks, Snowflake, Microsoft, and Box as well, with many more to come in the future. So, we think about connecting Claude to these core pieces of context to really enable its success. But I think very importantly, we're also delivering white glove finance-specific onboarding and implementation to really assist our customers with deployment, education, and change management as well. We want to make it as easy to get started as possible. I think here's where the partnership with AWS has been really transformative. The solution is available on AWS Marketplace, and our AWS partners have been really important in guiding us in terms of what they're hearing in the market, what the needs are from the customers, and really guiding our customers in how to adopt these solutions with the incremental set of trust that we think about often.
That's great. Yeah, good. And that call out for the AWS Marketplace so you can procure this because it's expanded and specifically tailored to the industry. Is there anything else to mention upon in terms of like partners or professional services, like elements that help get, say, like a financial services customer up and running and what that process looks like?
At least on the AWS side, I'm really keen on that demo. I'm super excited because one of the first things that we have to do as we engage together, it's a core part of the partnership, Jason. It's good. Glad you called that out. Something we do is we really think about the key personas at our customers and the demos that they're going to see the most value from. And so workshops often are inclusive of game days or what we call as immersion days. We'll spend between a day to 2 days showcasing what's possible. And then we kind of do deep assessments and workshops with our system integration partners who will run on the ground workshops with the application owners, the production teams, and help do those migrations. So it takes a village. It's a massive amount of work, but I think it comes down to making it really easy to get started. And what's impressive about the Cloud for Enterprise for financial services is the ability to resonate with the analyst in a matter of minutes. And I think the demo, when I first saw it, I was absolutely blown away because it changed the way that you could not only analyze data, but just make sure there's uniformity across the organization. And I'm really keen on kind of diving in. But yeah. Jonathan, Nicholas, anything that you'd like to talk about before we jump into the demo?
I think one thing I might share here is that what we've built is really focused on one set of problems, right? I think where we get a lot of expansive power by partnering with industry's partners like systems integrators is even as a part of the July launch, we've worked with a number of them to build additional blueprints for other use cases that are really important within financial services, such as compliance agents, KYC agents, and insurance agents as well. So we want to make sure that we are focused on the core use cases and we really deliver deep value, but we work with the ecosystem in pushing all of the core use cases forward.
Yep. Well, I think we've kind of hyped being able to see some of this because we've talked a lot about it. Nick, I know you brought a couple video examples. You want to walk us through some of those?
Sounds great. Let me just give a quick sort of preamble of what we're about to see, and then we can dive specifically into one scenario that I would love to walk you all through. So, our financial analysis solution is really targeted at solving problems that I think our finance analyst customers really know well. And it's really focused on investment research and analysis. In investing, having been a private equity investor, insights are alpha, right? The ability to sort through all of the noise in the market, either via public data sources or in a deal room, in a fast-moving deal process, to build a thesis quickly, to get to an investment decision, that's really paramount. And that's really where alpha comes from in our customers. And, some of these problems look like, analysts work in a deluge of documents every single day, right? They spend hours researching into data sources that are very difficult to verify. They spend a lot of time preparing analyses, financial models, and ticking through models cell by cell. And they also manually prepare outputs like investment memos or pitch decks. With Claude, we really want to start addressing all of these points. So let's show you what that looks like in action. Should we play the first demo video?
Go through the first one.
All right, so let's meet Sarah. She is a hedge fund analyst at Acme Capital. It's about 2 p.m. and her portfolio manager just burst into her office with an urgent question, which I think many of you can really relate to, right? Our fictitious company, Velocity Global, reported terrible earnings yesterday. Revenue is down 12%, but somehow the stock is up 17%. So her PM needs to know, is this rally justified by the new strategy or should they sell into the spike? And he needs an answer before the market closes. This is typically a 5-hour scramble. So let's see what that looks like in a 30-minute analysis. You can see that Claude has really connected to all of Sarah's tools, including S&P Global, Morningstar, FactSet, Dalupa, and even her firm's Box documents. And here's the key. Sarah is getting synthesized intelligence across all of these multiple sources simultaneously, right? Transcripts from S&P Global, sector reports from Morningstar, internal analyses from Box. And the output is, as you can see, a full earnings call analysis report, and what we call an artifact. An artifact is a really flexible and easy way of displaying many types of information, including multimodal reports like that one. And the last part that you all just saw is that you can see full financials linked to the original data sources, like we saw with one of our partners, Dalupa, so that Claude and Sarah can really verify any of these claims instantaneously. Next demo, please.
You want to go to the next one?
Yep.
So, to go deeper, we just looked at the retrieval step, right? What I think about often are 3 verbs: retrieve, analyze, and create. Now, these 3 verbs probably dominate most of what we do on a daily basis. So let's go to the analysis step. To go deeper, Sarah is now asking Claude to create visualizations and specific analyses that I recall spending, again, a lot of time just building as an analyst. So there are things like an annotated stock price chart, comps and benchmarking, and even a discounted cash flow model. As you can see, Sarah and Claude have really pulled key corporate events from SEC Edgar and the web, pricing data from S&P Global, historical financials from Dalupa, and it's prepared a number of visual artifacts, including what you just saw, an event annotated stock price chart showing the 17% spike. That was a comprehensive comps table showing that Velocity Global is trading at 21 times versus peers at 16. Here is where I get really excited about what the future could look like. Claude is even able to build a fully auditable discounted cash flow model in Excel with a functional case selector and even a perfect WACC calculation without needing to be prompted, right? I think that just goes to show that Claude has a lot of finance-specific training already embedded in its corpus. And now we're just really giving Claude the tools to really showcase its intelligence in a way that's, again, useful to humans.
Nick, thanks for showing with this. It's great to see, and also knowing like probably pain points you've had in a past life and seeing some of these be solved and being able to walk through on like the other side of it is really interesting and exciting to hear from you firsthand. With that, we are really close to the end of our session. So I wanted to make sure, JP and Nicholas, any last things to think about or parting thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I share this with everybody, and it's amazing for those that are already dialed in. I think you're already doing it, but just getting started, honestly, whether it's Claude or other frontier models. Obviously, we think there's some areas that we're particularly proficient at, and we acknowledge there's areas other models are much better at, but it's just getting started. I'll often talk to my partners, do you have these apps on your phone? Are you using them on a daily basis, even for personal tasks? Are you taking photos of things and asking it to describe what it is? You really want to ask yourself, if someone like quizzed me on, am I able to get the most out of even the basics of AI technology today? Am I getting like a 9 out of 10 on that quiz or like a 4? Because if you start to extrapolate what that means as the technology evolves so quickly, you don't want to be in that 4 or 5 bucket, because that'll start to carry forward to everything you do in your job and in your role. So just get started. Use tools like Claude to help build training for you. Like I'll often joke, I'll ask Claude, like, what are 10 things I could do to test the bleeding edge of your capabilities, right? And it'll give me these examples. So these are types of things. Just get started, build that muscle, because this is happening. It's happening, and we're grateful to be doing it with AWS, who's got such a good handle on navigating this technology as well. So those are my parting words. Nick, anything?
We do have the QR code to make sure everyone sees that.
All right. Well, and if you want to chat more, we'd love to hear from you. So take a moment to scan that QR code. If we get it up, just take your phone out, scan it. We'd love to hear from you. We know we can't take all your questions today, but go to that landing page, reach out, and we'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. We'd love to hear more. Nick, anything you want to leave the audience with?
For sure. I would echo a lot of what JP just mentioned. I think this is really just the very beginning of our journey. Model context protocol, for example, is a really important part of the solution that you all just saw. That as a concept was conceived at the end of last year and really fully realized back in March.
Yep.
Right. So it's been about 6 months. And
because we're just gonna probably go off the screen, I want to make sure that this was fantastic, right? We gonna make sure that the audience gets that QR code, and we're gonna come back together with more workshops and more sessions. But this was fantastic. That demo absolutely blew my mind.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
And for everyone watching, we're gonna take a really quick 20-30 second break, and we'll be right back with Iron Mountain.